All right, and welcome back to Hoops Lounge podcast edition here. We're talking NBA free agency. This is being recorded July 2nd, 2016, with your host Phil Boileau. And from BTH Below the Hardwood, rest in peace, we have Alan Shane Lewis. We're
Dead
talking
but not gone.
dead but not gone. We're gonna see a resurgence. Okay, so a lot of money's been spent, bud.
Oh yeah.
A lot of guys have changed teams, and some guys have stayed the same. So we want to kick it off first. We're kind of gonna do like team specific. So let's talk about the Raptors because this is locked up. They just re-signed DeMar DeRozan, and they just lost Bismack Biyombo. DeMar DeRozan max deal, 5 year, hundred and I don't have the number offhand, tons
30
of money,
million or something.
30 million. Biyombo, about a 4 year, 70 million with Orlando. Let's start with DeMar because he was the big catch there. That was the move they needed to make, right, to stay.
Yeah, I think you have to re-up, reload, and have some type of certainty with one of your stars, and I think that was a good move for them.
Absolutely. And Bismack Biyombo, it seems like the two guys they got in the draft were essentially to replace him. I mean, two guys who can
Yeah,
shot block, and that guy they got at 27th pick, like he was almost the same height, weight, and like
you
it.
you look like Diet Bismack Biyombo, which all right, I guess but I still feel like there's more moves to be seen when it comes to free agency as far as filling up our four because we do need to fill up the four, and I don't think uh, giving that type of money to Bismack Biyombo based on just playoff
Well,
performance
they
is the
got Pau
smart move.
Gasol Jr. in the draft, right? So you shouldn't be worrying
Yeah,
about that
and
at all.
Jakob Pertel. So, I'm happy to see Bismack get some money. I don't think that was a good fit for him maybe in Orlando because once again you're looking at Nick Vucevic.
Well,
You also
Orlando
have
couldn't block shots last year, right? And now they got Serge Ibaka and Bismack Biyombo, so they're going to be
yeah
blocking all
Vucevic, but
sorts
how
of
do you play
shots.
all these three guys? I think which one is the one that comes off the bench? It's probably going to be Biombo.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
it's
think it's
Biyombo, but the thing is, I think you just run them all about 32 minutes a game. I think that kind of makes sense. I don't think Vucevic is a 40 minute a game guy. He's a little big. I think Biyombo plays well in that kind of about 30. And I think Ibaka at this point of his career to maintain his athleticism can be maximized that way. And don't forget, they still have Aaron Gordon, right? Who's going to want some minutes as well. And
yeah
considering
that
they're
tweener.
holding
I
on
never
to him.
liked tweeners, but
No, there's nothing that scares me more in a draft more than a 6'9" athletic guy who doesn't really have a jump shot and he's just
and and can't go back to basket. But
Stromile Swift kind of player, right?
yeah, I'm gonna love seeing you in the D League. That's gonna be amazing. It's just
Although,
Perry Jones. But
although secretly, I would have loved to sign and trade for Biombo for Aaron Gordon. I think Aaron Gordon actually would have been a really nice Raptor.
no,
No?
no, I think we don't need that. A beefy guy who doesn't necessarily have any range, can't hit his free throws. He's just. I like how Sports Center is now favoring him because they saw what he can do in the dunk competition. I've been singing his praises since the high school dunk off. He's been killing it since then. So I like how Sports Center is now giving him some play here and there, some top 10 highlights. But he's not much than Flash, to be honest. He's
But
even
it's
in
weird, right?
Arizona,
Because in the summer league, you see he's developing that three-point jump shot. He's somewhat rebounding. I think the problem is, I think he's like 6'7". He plays power forward.
yeah. And he's a big kid, man. He's a big kid. He's thick. He's full out. But it's just what can you do? You're not very good at. You're not really good inside the key. You're not very good outside the key. You can jump high. That's
I think
great.
he could be a
You
good
have big.
defender, and if he can learn that outside jumper, I mean, he can be.
I don't think he's got great feet movement. To be honest, lateral movement. I think he's lacking in that. So he's a liability when it comes to pick and pop, pick and roll. So where do you really defend him? You can't defend out low or outside. You can't defend inside. So he's in limbo. He's essentially in NBA limbo when it comes to his height and size.
But the thing is, if he's look, I think I agree with you. He has to play the four because of the feet. I don't see him as a three. But if you play him at the four and he develops that jump shot, couldn't he not be a pick and pop, pick and roll, right? Because when he's rolling to the basket with that athleticism, he's got some value. And if he can learn that outside jump shot, I don't know. I just think that Orlando's in an interesting space right now,
I think
but they're throwing a lot of money at guys that can't score.
Yeah, and I think also too Evan Fournier, who got some money.
Mhm.
I think they're just going to be bad for many years. I think Evan Fournier just ended up getting Victor Oladipo's money that he was going to get if he had stayed in Orlando.
I personally
But
think
that,
that teams are just confused on how to use their money at this point. Like the cap's gone up, and
oh yeah,
before people had a general gauge of what guys were worth, And
Yeah,
and look, like before the cap went up, like Bismack Biyombo, like I would have said he's like that 11, 12, maybe 10, like 10 to 12 million kind of guy.
yeah, yeah. Now with the new cap, I really don't know the number specifically. I think it's going to take a year for everyone to
Well,
kind of
it's
get
about a third
acclimated to the
higher right
numbers.
now. So about a third higher than 12. That's about 18. That's around what he got. So it's not actually that off if you look at.
Not that bad, but I think he would have thrived better in a better like a I don't know. I feel like this was a breakout year for him after making that money. Get your starting center position somewhere, and and become that. Uh, I don't know who's the equivalent to what he could be as far as ceiling. What would you say?
I mean, a lot of people want to call him a poor man's Tristan Thompson, but Thompson has way better hands and is a better offensive player. Maybe a Theo Ratliff kind of guy.
Yeah, before pre-injury Theo Ratliff for sure.
And I mean, he's the kind of guy with so many guys who want to shoot and don't necessarily have the best defense at the four. He can allow guys to roam around. I mean, we saw he even tried to man up on LeBron James. I'm not saying it's something you want to do
Yeah,
all the time, but he's a versatile defender. And I think
he
between him and Ibaka, I think it gives them a lot of good looks.
yeah I think defensively speaking, I just think it's 50% of the game, and I think they're just going to be so hindrance on offense that it's just going to end up backfiring. And I think, like once again, I think the NBA with these teams giving out this money, it's like pretty much just like a rookie player getting that big contract. They're just spending it on things they don't need, and that's exactly something they really don't need.
Well, speaking of guys who maybe think they're a rookie emotionally, but aren't really, Dwight Howard, 3 year,
Oh man,
so what was it, $70 million to go back home to Atlanta. Uh, and
yeah,
and
he's got some baby moms in Atlanta, so good for him. He's
and
gonna
he's
get a lot
making
of
that
moms.
Al
That's nice.
Horford situation even more complicated. So, I mean, people are saying, 23 million a year. He could have gotten more. Maybe he took a little bit less to get that third guaranteed year. Because people were looking at Dwight Howard. Like, I don't know how many teams were really gonna give him a max deal.
I think the Celtics would be a team
I
that
think
would
the
really
Celtics are
benefit
too
from.
smart for that. I don't think anyone's dropping 27,
I
28.
don't think the Celtics. Well, Celtics are. I don't know if they're smart. They're conservative when it comes to certain moves, but then they will unload the deck and get them Kevin Garnett and do all that stuff. Danny Ainge,
Yeah, but that's way
I think
different.
he's
Like, I think Kevin
lucky.
Garnett was a much better player when they traded for him.
Would you rather get at that point in time? It is. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, 2007 Kevin Garnett is definitely better than Dwight Howard now
I mean,
for
think
sure.
about it. Like
I think
Garnett played.
even though he was declining, you can tell that he was declining then. But I don't. I just think Dwight Howard is just. I think
He
he's
was
done.
declining
I think
then, but he
he's.
still had that jump shot. He still was a defensive monster. He played way like, yeah, he's an intense guy, being Kevin Garnett, and was tough on other players. But I bet you he's a much better teammate than Dwight Howard. Like he
Oh yeah,
made
I think
those other
he
guys
pretty.
better around him.
Yeah, I think he's a very good locker room guy, and I don't think Dwight Howard is. I think Atlanta's once again. I think they're grasping at straws. I think LeBron broke that team so badly, just 2 years in a row. After Budenholzer took them to 60 something wins, LeBron James knocked them out in four. They tried to come back again, didn't get back to the same place. They lost in the first round, and now they just gave up. They gave up. They broke down the squad. They got rid of Jeff Teague. Now you have an issue now where you have Dwight Howard at your five, and you have what do you do with Horford? What do you do with Millsap? Like those are you just
I,
scrapping that? Are you moving on? Like what type of team are they
I
going to
think
be
it's
now?
interesting, right? Because Horford's a free agent, but to me, he doesn't actually fit. Like, I know people are saying you'd rather him as a power forward, but I feel in the modern NBA, Dwight and Horford is a little bit slow. I'd rather Dwight and Millsap. So, but you can't really get anything back from him unless you're signing and trading.
Yeah, there are some sign and trade talks about for what's not a sign and trade trade talks for what's his name though
Well,
Millsap.
I think Millsap, considering what he brings in the modern NBA, would anyone would want him, right? Like,
Oh,
imagine him on Cleveland instead of Kevin Love. Like, that is, it's over. Oh, uh, hey,
hello.
sorry about that. We're
Yeah,
reconnecting.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. That did not happen in the entire hour
Yeah, that's so
beforehand, but
funny.
yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I think Al Horford's the guy they want to trade. I mean, it's funny because we've been hearing like OKC like would love him, and to be real, Russell Westbrook, Vic Oladipo, KD, Steven Adams, and Al Horford would be ridiculous. But but they would
Yeah,
have to
that'd
get
be
rid of
fun.
Enes Kanter. They're paying like $17 million a year to that kid.
Why wouldn't you get rid of Enes Kanter? Like, I don't. He's a defensive liability. I think there was a. They found a. I think what's I forgot his name. Billy Donovan found a really good system with him and Steven Adams in the playoffs to combat the Warriors. I think that was a really good 1-2 punch. I think their PR was like very high, if I'm not mistaken. But
Okay,
I
okay.
don't like.
Uh,
Yeah, but I'm
I'm
not.
gonna throw
I'm
you a
not sold on
three-way
him.
trade idea then. I'm gonna take Cantor. I think he's about 6'11" now. His best position's at center. You agree with me? I put him into the
Yep.
Pelicans to play next to Anthony Davis to protect him, be the more athletic shot blocker stealer. And then you get the Pelicans to send back, say, I don't know, Tyreek Evans, send him to
To
Atlanta,
who?
and then send a re-signed Horford to OKC.
If I'm Atlanta, I'm not doing that. I
Well,
get nothing.
cons- it, because he
Because
might just run
everybody's
away,
not gonna
right?
get
Like he
a
might just run
primary.
away. So maybe
You
you
get
can
you get
send, you can
you
add
get
a
him.
little bit on top of Evans.
Send me Drew. I'll do that.
Drew Holiday?
If I'm Yeah, but if I'm Pelicans, I don't get rid of Drew for Enes Cantor.
No,
You
yeah,
know what
no,
I'm
you
saying,
don't do
right? Like
that. But because I'm trying to think, what could you'd probably have to package like maybe also take like a
if
Cameron
you if you
Payne or like I don't even know a sign and
someone needs yeah. If you send Drew to Atlanta and send maybe a Corver to Pelicans, and if I'm Pelicans, I get Corver and Enes Cantor. I might take that.
and you
I
just
might take that
re-signed
because you know what?
Bazemore
That
and you
that
replaced and you got the Damari Carroll clone through that draft if you're Atlanta. So yeah, you can afford to lose Corver, get a bit younger, although you kind of have to win.
they're not playing the same basketball anymore. They've agreed to that when they signed what's his name Dwight Howard. So it's not going to be fast paced setting up screens for Corver. So you might as well get rid of Corver. I feel like once you got rid of Jeff Teague, that was the basketball. That was that high speed basketball that got you I don't know what 40
Yeah,
something wins last season. So you might as well. You might if you're going to get rid of the captain, might as well get rid
yeah,
of
no
his ship.
kidding.
You know.
All right, well, we're gonna go into the halftime mode here, and we'll be right back. All right, back after the break. We're with your hosts, Phil Boileau, aka Sporting Phil, and Mr. Alan Shane Lewis. Uh, Mr.
Woo!
Alan Shane on Twitter, I believe it is, at Alan Shane.
E.
The
Allen
Alan
Shane.
Shane, because there
And
is
there's only
only
one.
one. All right, in the second half, we're diving into two of the other teams that made a big splash in free agency. The first one we're going to talk about, I give you a short conversation because I don't think either one of us are big fans of this, but the Los Angeles Lakers doling out big money for Luol
Dude.
Deng and Timofey Mozgov. Mozgov was last seen riding the
So
pine to his in Cleveland, getting benched for Channing Frye.
that's 17 points in
17
the
points in the
playoffs.
playoffs. Going to be making about $17 million per next year.
For each point he scored
Exactly.
in the
So you know
playoffs.
it's the new NBA. And Luol Deng, if this had happened maybe 6 years ago, I think I'd be excited for the Lakers. Um, they needed a center. They technically got a center. They wanted
Yeah,
veteran
technically.
presence with their kids, and Luol Deng's a great leader. Is there anything above what I just said that the Lakers are getting?
They also re-signed Jordan Clarkson, so that's good. But once again, I think it's a redundancy in a position. I think these teams don't know what to do with their money. So you got Luol Deng, you throw him all this money. What does he do? Does he start over your second overall pick in
Mhm.
Brandon Ingram? Like, do you just sideline him just like that? Do you not give him the reins to take over the team? Kobe just left, and then you're just going to put a dying veteran star to take up and suck minutes and points away from the rest of your rookies who want to, or rookies, but
Yeah,
your
but do you
young
really
players.
want Brandon Ingram
It just
playing
seemed like
40 right away?
I think you
Actually, I think
should.
I
I
do
think
too. I
you'd be
think I
like,
do
hey,
too.
buddy, like, hey, you've been a star your entire life. Do not let that star dim a minute. Like, keep shining. Like, find that rhythm. Like, this is Showtime. This is Lakers. This is big time basketball. I want you to feel like you're in thrive here, and I don't think he's gonna thrive sharing minutes with
Okay, but how
Luol
about if he
Deng.
comes off the
You know,
bench, the back
and
of 3-4 to spell them both?
no, I think that's hindrance, man. As a player who works on confidence, I play really well when it comes to being a confident player. I don't think you show him confidence by saying, "Hey, by the way, we don't trust you starting on this team," even though we got you second overall, and there's probably like five
No, no,
other
no. I'm
players
saying
who are
Dang at
taking
this
after you who
point.
are
If you
about to
take
start
Dang
on some
off
other
the
teams.
bench.
Oh dang, yeah. Do you pay him all that money to tell him to get off the bench though? I feel like,
Well,
well, I
okay.
guess maybe you
Maybe
just
the
give
better
him some
question
of
is
that money back.
why do you think they signed him? Because I don't think they think they're contending next year. So for me, it's veteran presence and so they don't hit the cap the floor, so they can't hit the floor.
I
Because
yeah,
what people are forgetting is as much money is out there, is teams have to spend more money now.
and yeah.
And
Yeah. So you're gonna see these, but it's so early. What is it? July 2nd. Like I'd rather give whatever player at the end of it just to kind of make up the floor later on, as opposed to just giving up. I feel like Genie Bus really. It's either two ways. Two ways. Either they have no idea what they're doing and they're just panicking, trying to pull names that are just going to
mhm.
interest fans, or they have exerted all options and this is it. Like nobody wants to go Lakers. I know they were trying to get DeMar DeRozan, but speaking of DeMar DeRozan, he said he doesn't want to go to the Lakers unless he can be guaranteed that he's going to win 7 championships. And just filling up the new spot or the mantle passed on from Kobe Bryant is a lot. It's a lot to take over, and I think it's a lot of pressure on a lot of these players, and a lot of players don't want to be in that position. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's just that there's. I think the pull of a large market Lakers team is just completely dead in the year of social media and the global growth that we have. Like the world is a smaller place. I can be in Milwaukee and still be a huge star. I
Well,
can
that's
sell
why
my
Greg
products
Monroe went there,
globally
right?
without. Yeah, you don't have to go to Chicago, New York, or LA anymore just to become a big star. And I think a lot of players are agreeing to that factor at
Well,
this point.
speaking of big time players or big contract,
Oh,
everything all right?
wait, there's a
No,
problem with your
we're good
connection.
now. I can hear and see you.
Okay.
So speaking of small time cities that are having big time players sign with them, the Memphis Grizzlies have re-signed Mike Conley to the largest NBA contract in history, and Chandler Parsons also for a 4-year, almost $100 million contract. Look, they knew they needed Conley to contend, and they knew they needed shooting. This fits both of those needs. They're bringing back Marc Gasol. Zach Randolph's coming back. They drafted, I'm forgetting his name, the point guard. I really liked him, the 6'4" guy with the 6'11" wingspan, and they got Deonta Davis.
Yeah. I think I think on paper it's a great move, but I just don't know if you give Chandler Parsons any money knowing that he can't finish the season. You know. And I think he's got a toxic personality, personally. This is just completely conjecture, and this is just me, just the way I'm looking at him and seeing, and just like reading his tweets, and just he just seems like a very sour individual. And I don't think he's very conducive to a positive locker room environment. So maybe that's just me hating. Maybe that's just me guessing. But they did address the thing they needed to do because at the end of the day, Tony Allen can't shoot a three, and they had Jeff Green for a while. He can't shoot a three. Then they got Lance Stevenson. He can't shoot a three. This team needs to be
Oh,
able
and
to
Jeff
score
Green's in
threes. You can't just
Orlando
have two
got to
big
say
men
that,
deep
by the way,
low.
because we were talking about them before.
Which
Yeah, I think a 1 year,
Jeff Green got
15,
signed to Orlando?
something like that.
What the hell
They're
is
trying to
going
get
on in
guys.
Orlando,
Look,
man?
they're missing points. They need guys who can literally put the ball in the bucket. They really should have kept Tobias Harris in my mind.
I was just about to say that. I'm like, man, you're just like trying to get everything Tobias Harris could do in like five players. Just
Yeah, no, not
that
the
was
smartest move.
foolish.
But okay, the Grizzlies with everyone they've signed, I think we can agree they're not above the top three: San Antonio, OKC, Golden State, right?
Yeah, no,
Well,
they're
I think they're a
maybe
bit
eighth,
better than
seventh.
that. Like, I don't think you're giving them enough credit on that side. Like, to me, they're better than the Clippers.
I don't agree to that. I
If the
think
Clippers sign
the
KD,
the
sure,
clip if the
but if they
Clippers can
don't do that, which I don't think they will, I think they're worse.
they'll get one more piece because they got to fill that void with Jeff Green now,
Jeff Green wasn't doing much for
and
them, so let's be fair
I
about
think
that.
yeah, but you still have a body coming on at sixth. Like there were some substitutions late or early in fourth quarters
And
where they
Jamal
just like
Crawford might
that's
be
when Jeff
leaving as
Green got in.
well.
Exactly. So that's they have to fill that void as far as a secondary ball handler because I think Austin
Man,
Rivers he
they
also
could have
opted
really
out.
used
So
Jordan Clarkson, I
I guess
feel,
he's restructured.
had he left. Hmm.
That would have been a very good fit for him. You just got to move it all. You can just, just pick different days to go
All
to the
right,
gym.
so you think they're okay? So even if I agree with you that the Clippers are better, to me that's fifth. Who else in the West is better than them? Outside
Okay.
of those top four we just said.
I
Ooh, I'm
Portland.
not agreeing with you, buddy. So Portland signed Evan Turner to a massive deal, which from most reports I'm reading, is a terrible signing. And they were
Yeah, you have three. I think the main condition that he wanted was he was reaffirmed that he'll be able to handle the ball. Now you have C.J. McCollum, Damian Lillard, and Evan
the
Turner
only
all
reason I like that is because
dribbling the ball. There's three. They play with three basketballs though, right? That's
technically
how
yes,
Portland plays.
technically yes.
Three
Uh,
basketballs at once. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So yeah,
Maybe
everyone
the
knows that
idea
that'll be a
though, just to
problem. But
throw it
good
out
thing that
there,
they have
is
three
they
of their
think that CJ and Dame can both play off ball and be scorers, and they want Evan to facilitate some offense.
I don't know if that's a good idea at all.
Well,
But
well, I'm just
you know
saying,
what?
who
I'm not
technically
Terry
is their
Stotts,
best
so we'll
scorer?
see
It's
what
Dame,
happens.
right? So,
Yeah,
so if
by
you're
far. Hey,
allowing
like
him
leaps,
some more
leaps.
open shots off curls, maybe. Look, I'm not saying it's a good idea. I think it's a bad idea what they're doing, but I'm just trying to justify it in my head to try to
So
understand where they are coming from.
I'm also trying to figure out that starting lineup because Turner, unless Turner's a sixth man, where does Aminu fit in now?
Yeah,
Why
I
do they
think they
still
signed
have
him for a
Aminu?
4-year deal. I liked him, or I still do like it. Like it doesn't disappear.
I he grew on me. I hated him originally coming out. I did not like him from Wake Forest. I don't like him, but in Dallas. But
Well, he
this year,
definitely
he
needed
showed me that he's a good corner guy.
to take some years to mature, right? Like he was definitely
He needs to
the
expand
the
his game.
West Coast version of Bruno Caboclo, who was 2 years away from being 2 years away. So I'm fully expecting Bruno to be what Amino is.
Yeah, he's got hope. To be honest, I think Kabaklo has a little bit. He has more guard skills. Like he's better guard skills, and he's more
He's a
creative
three guy.
than
He's a
I think
classic
Aminu
modern
knows how he
NBA,
knows his
six
what to
nine, good
do. Like
wingspan. I'm
those
talking
parts.
about Aminu. Plays good D and can sit outside and knock down a three with
Yeah.
fairly consistent.
If Kabaklo puts on a little bit more weight and gets a little bit more better with his decision making, he can be a threat. But
Oh, as soon
again,
as
I think
Damari
we're 1
Carroll
year away
goes
from him,
down.
2 years
All
away.
right,
So
so
I
apart
don't
from
know.
those guys that we've mentioned, is there a favorite signing that you had? I mean, we went through kind of those four main topics there. There's a couple others that went. Were there any that stuck out? I mean, obviously Joakim Noah went to the Knicks. Rose.
I think that was a good fit. He followed his best friend out there, and I think
Yeah,
they're gonna be really interesting. I like Hassan Whiteside going back to Heat. I
I
think
I
that
really thought he
because
was
that
going
was
to go to the
scary. Wherever
Lakers.
he
I really
landed,
thought he was going to land
I
there,
thought was
and
gonna be a very. You know what? I didn't. I thought he was gonna go to Mavericks. I thought Cuban was headhunting because he got him out
yeah.
there. Whew, Dirk, just shoot, and see what happens, man.
Oh no,
Actually,
I was kind
they're
of
my
gonna
favorite.
agree
Sorry,
there. Like
you
I
were gonna say
just
something?
don't kind of believe in the rest of the Mavs as much, so I think I would. Although the Lakers aren't going to win anyway, so at least he gets a chance.
Yeah.
Well,
There's one I like. I think Al Jefferson to
yep. Topping that
Pacers.
up with their
I
there's a
think it's gonna
couple
be a fun team
trades,
to
so the
watch.
Pacers are looking in the playoff that young, looking in the playoff mix.
Yeah, they're gonna be contender for second, third. I think that's where they're gonna
Probably
be in the
not.
East.
No.
I don't see another team coming close to them. Yeah, it's Cavs, Toronto, and Pacers. Unless something crazy happens, if a
Yeah.
resurgence of
Well, I
Dwight
mean,
Howard and he
look,
becomes like
we're
Dwight Howard
recording
in
this July
2009.
2nd,
I doubt it,
2016.
but
Still, who hasn't signed? Technically, KD hasn't signed. He's being courted all over the place. Like that's a drama and a half. Like he was in Boston. They're bringing Tom Brady out. Like,
even it's so funny. Like every report I'm seeing is the meeting went well. The meeting went well. The meeting went well. Like every report, no matter what team it is, it's like his friends and whatever. Like whoever that friend is that's leaking that information, That's not your friend. All right, KD. If when you hear this, because I know you're a big fan of the show, he's that guy. Whoever's leaking that information, he's not your boy. You need to get rid of him. Maybe let me hang out with you, and
I think we should all buy J.R.
we'll
Smith
not
t-shirts,
wear
by the
shirts
way.
like J.R. Smith
Just
and
wear them
just
all
pour
around.
champagne on people. We can do that.
I think I would look
Yeah,
exceedingly
that no
awkward
shirt
in that
T-shirt. If I
t-shirt.
was sent it to me,
Like
I would
beyond
definitely rock that.
terrible.
That would be hilarious.
I I would get so much hate on that one.
That would be
Yeah, so that was
that would be
good
hilarious.
move. Yep, and still Al Horford's just I think Al Horford honestly is going to be the one that really changes everything because I think there's been enough talk, apparently serious discussions him in Boston. Um, there've been ties to OKC if they can get rid of Cantor. Um, I just think it's interesting because I think if he goes to Boston, I think it just makes them another mediocre East team. I think if he goes to OKC, they trade Cantor. I think OKC, if they're not right now, they would be the favorites to me to win
Yeah.
the championship because if you have Adams and Horford in a front court and you have KD with Oladipo with Westbrook and you still have Robertson there, who I actually really liked how he improved in the playoffs. Um, I think that's a dangerous team. Look, he's 6'7", can defend multiple
I don't
positions, and
think
I
he
think his
improved.
jump
I think he
shot
only
was
got more
improving.
usable. Honestly.
I think he's a great guy to have.
You know what he was? He was like me in high school. He was running that baseline because no one respected his jumper. So all he had to do was run that baseline, and people would forget about him. Then he got a little jump hook there. Pop out to the elbow, get his jumper here and there. So it was, yeah. I
All
think
right,
that's
cool.
once again that's another
All
conversation for
right,
another
so
day.
I think
The
we're gonna call it
Toronto
for
coaching,
today's
the
podcast
coaching game.
again. Phil
It was a good time,
Boileau
Will.
and Alan Shane Lewis. Catch all of our Twitter paraphernalia in the description of this video and hit us up there, and we'll catch you next time on hoopslounge.com.